Today we are going to talk about how to negotiate well. Whether we're at work or just going about our daily lives, being able to argue or influence is important for making our projects better and moving forward on our path to health. I will teach you how to get better at negotiating through exchange on this trip. This idea is based on giving and receiving, and it's also an important way to turn everyday interactions into long-lasting, helpful relationships in your personal and business life. It's a social norm that goes back as far as society itself. The idea of fair exchange has been at the heart of all human dealings, from ancient times to the boardrooms of today. When negotiating, exchange is a very effective way to get what you want. Some people feel forced, even if it's only in their minds, to return the favor when you give them something. This cycle of giving and getting builds trust and mutual respect, which are the building blocks for agreements that last. In this episode, you will discover how the law of reciprocity can be strategically applied to improve your successful negotiation skills. We will discuss the different forms of reciprocity, from emotional gestures such as thanks and recognition to material or financial exchanges. Each type of reciprocity has its place and time, and learning to use it wisely is crucial for any successful negotiator. Additionally, we will delve into how the Socratic Method, based on asking questions, complements reciprocity by fostering open and constructive dialogue. Through carefully selected questions, you can gain valuable information, demonstrate empathy, and guide the other party toward mutual understanding and beneficial agreements. This approach not only helps you build relationships, but also positions you as a shrewd and considerate negotiator. You will also learn how important it is to balance each exchange by making sure that every kind act or concession is returned. This balance is not only fair, but it's also necessary for keeping personal and business ties healthy and productive. Get ready for a deep dive into these negotiation strategies. They will change not only how you talk to people in business or conversations, but also how you treat people in your personal life. Every example and piece of information we give you is meant to give you power, give you the tools you need to succeed, and help you understand that the key to success in negotiations is being able to give, receive, and balance well. Come with us as we break these rules down and show you how to use them to reach and go beyond your goals. First, we'll talk about the rule of reciprocity, which is one of the most interesting and useful ideas in negotiation. This idea is easy, but very important. Anyone who does something nice for you will naturally want to do something nice for you back. It is a strong force that you can learn to control to get better at both negotiating and getting along with other people. Imagine you are in a negotiation. At the beginning, both sides present their demands and expectations, which is normal. However, the moment you decide to take a generous step without an immediate request in return, you change the dynamics of the entire interaction. By doing so, you not only show good faith, but also establish a precedent of generosity that can motivate the other party to respond similarly. But why does reciprocity work? According to studies in social psychology, people have an innate inclination to balance the scales, to not owe something to someone. This is because the feeling of being in debt to someone can create discomfort and stress in the context of a negotiation. When someone receives something without an immediate condition in return, this psychological need to balance the relationship is activated, leading to a desire for reciprocity. Of course, this idea must be used in an honest and moral way. It's not about tricking people, it's about building relationships based on trust and respect. People in a negotiation are more likely to come to a deal that works for both sides if they feel like they are being treated with respect and care. This rule also has an effect that builds over time. Under the principle of reciprocity, the more times you interact with someone, the better your relationship will be, and the easier it will be to go into future deals. It's important to remember that exchange doesn't always have to happen right away. Sometimes, like when we're in a long-term business relationship, acts of kindness we do today may be returned weeks, months, or even years later. So, if you want to use this idea in your negotiation strategies, you need to think about the long term and learn to be patient. Moreover, it is crucial to recognize that reciprocity can manifest in many ways, not just through material or financial exchanges. Emotional reciprocity, such as verbal recognition, expressions of gratitude, or even empathy shown during a difficult conversation, can be equally powerful. These gestures may not have monetary value, but the emotional and psychological value they create in a negotiation can be immense. Likewise, it is important to be strategic and considerate about when and how you use reciprocity. It is not simply about giving with the expectation of receiving something in return. It is about understanding and responding to the needs and desires of the other party in a way that naturally invites reciprocity. This could mean tailoring your acts of reciprocity to the other person based on what you know about their values, needs, and top goals. By using the law of reciprocity in your talks or negotiations, you are not only working toward a better agreement, but you are also setting the stage for future interactions that will be good. By doing this, you show that you care about relationships and are ready to put time and effort into them in a useful way. This is important not only for negotiating well, but also for building a trustworthy and respected image for yourself or your business. With these tips, I hope you can see that the law of reciprocity is more than just a way to negotiate. It's also a way of thinking about how to deal with others that, when used correctly and with integrity, can lead to a lot of success and opportunities. As we continue our look at the power of reciprocity and negotiation, we will look at two specific types of reciprocity that you can use to make your relationships stronger and your chances of success in any deal better. These are exchange in terms of money and feelings. Both are important and work together to make a place where people value each other and work together. First, let's talk about emotional reciprocity. This type of reciprocity focuses on intangible exchanges that directly affect how the people involved in the negotiation feel. Gestures like showing genuine appreciation, sincerely thanking someone, or even expressing admiration for the other party's work ethic are all examples of emotional reciprocity. These acts may seem small, but their impact on the negotiation environment is enormous. By making people feel valued and respected, you create fertile ground for cooperation and empathy, which facilitates reaching a consensus. Emotional reciprocity is especially effective because it touches on the basic human desire to be recognized and appreciated. When people feel that their efforts and time are valued, they are more willing to listen and consider your viewpoints and needs. Additionally, this type of reciprocity can help overcome moments of tension and build bridges where there were previously barriers. For example, in a difficult negotiation, a simple, "I understand and appreciate your concerns," can change the tone of the entire conversation and pave the way for more productive dialogue. On the other hand, we have material or tangible reciprocity, which involves physical or concrete exchanges. This could include, for example, making a concession on a contract term, offering better payment conditions, or even providing additional services at no extra cost. This type of reciprocity is very direct and often what people expect in a negotiation. However, the timing and manner in which it is offered are crucial. It should be perceived as a gesture of goodwill and not as an attempt to buy or bribe, which could damage trust instead of strengthening it. Material exchange needs to be used in a planned way. Giving without expecting anything in return isn't the point. The point is to know when and how to make a gift that will make the other person want to do the same. If you are negotiating a contract and know that the other party is worried about cash flow, for example, giving more flexible payment terms could be a nice thing to do. The other party might then respond by making concessions in other parts of the agreement. Being authentic is a key part of handling both emotional and material reciprocity. Whether they are physical or emotional, gestures must be sincere and show that the person is trying to build a connection, not just get what they want. Being honest builds trust, and trust is the basis for good talks. Integrating both types of reciprocity also involves a deep understanding of the other party's needs and desires. Part of your preparation for any negotiation should be researching and understanding what your counterparts value most, whether it is emotional recognition or material benefits. This understanding will allow you to personalize your gestures of reciprocity in a way that is both more effective and more appreciated. Additionally, it is important to remember that reciprocity is not always immediate. In some negotiations, especially those that are long-term, the fruits of your goodwill gestures may take time to manifest. However, when done sincerely, these acts establish a solid foundation for a continuous relationship that can yield mutual benefits over time. It's like a coin. Emotional and financial gifts go hand in hand. Both are necessary to negotiate well and build relationships that last and work well. Skillfully and thoughtfully, using these forms of reciprocity will not only help you reach better agreements, but it will also build respect and appreciation for each other that goes beyond the discussion table. I'm going to show you the Socratic Method, which is an old but still useful way to negotiate that has stood the test of time. This method, which is built on talking and coming up with questions, can change the course of your negotiations in a big way. Today, we're going to talk about how you can use this method to improve your relationships and get better results. The Socratic Method, named after the Greek philosopher Socrates, is fundamentally a process of inquiry and discussion between individuals with opposing opinions based on asking questions to stimulate critical thinking and illuminate ideas. In the context of negotiation, this method not only serves to gather information, but also helps build relationships, facilitate understanding, and foster creative solutions. To begin, using the Socratic method in negotiation involves asking open-ended questions that prompt the other party to think and reveal more about their true concerns and needs. These questions should be designed to go deeper than superficial answers and should help uncover the underlying motives behind the other party's positions. Effective use of the Socratic method also involves active listening to the responses. Active listening is crucial because the answers you receive will provide the basis for your subsequent questions, which should delve deeper into the conversation and explore new areas of consensus or disagreement. This sequence of questioning and answering, when skillfully managed, can guide the parties toward a deeper understanding and often to solutions that meet the fundamental interests of both. Using the Socratic method to negotiate is also helpful because it helps people avoid arguments and better handle disagreements. You can make arguments less personal and less likely to turn violent by focusing the talk on questions and answers. This is very helpful in tense talks where feelings are high. Instead of saying what you want or attacking what the other person is offering, asking questions lets you think about what is possible and what isn't possible without making any assumptions. This can help people work together better. The Socratic method also lets you decide how fast and where the discussion goes. You can subtly steer the talk toward issues or points you think are important without pushing your agenda directly by asking smart questions. This is a good way to lead the discussion, and it also makes sure that both sides feel like they have a say in the decision-making process. To use this method successfully, you need to plan ahead before the negotiation. This means making a list of questions based on what you know about the other person and being ready to change your questions as the talk goes on. You also need to keep an open mind and be ready to think about the replies you get, which might make you change your mind about what you originally thought. When closing a negotiation or discussion using the Socratic method, it is helpful to summarize the key points that have been discussed and confirm the agreement that has been reached. This summary not only ensures that both parties have the same understanding, but also reinforces the relationship by showing a commitment to clarity and mutual satisfaction. The Socratic method is not just a question and answer technique, it is a deep and respectful approach that fosters mutual understanding and problem solving. By adopting this method in your negotiations, you not only improve your skills as a negotiator, but also elevate the quality of your interactions, resulting in more robust agreements and stronger relationships. Having explored the Socratic method and how it can enhance our negotiation skills by fostering deeper and more meaningful dialogue, let us now move on to another crucial concept in the art of negotiation: fairness. Fairness not only reinforces the effectiveness of our negotiations, but also plays an essential role in the perception of justice and in building lasting relationships. When people are negotiating, fairness means that everyone thinks the deal is fair for everyone. This idea is more than just giving everyone a fair share of the resources. It means making sure that everyone feels like their wants and interests have been properly understood and respected. Fairness is very important because if people think a process is fair, they are more likely to follow through with the deal and less likely to cause problems later on. Being fair is also important for keeping business and personal relationships healthy over the long run. A negotiator who is seen as fair and reasonable builds an image for trustworthiness, which is important for future dealings. Additionally, fairness encourages a helpful environment where people want to get the most out of both their own and others' benefits. To integrate fairness into your negotiations, start by understanding and acknowledging the other party's needs and concerns. This may involve taking the time to listen actively and ask about their goals, limitations, and priorities. Once you understand these aspects, you can propose solutions that not only meet your needs, but also effectively address the interests of the other party. Another strategy is to use the language of fairness during discussions. Phrases like, "Let's find a solution that is fair for both of us," or "It's important to me that we both feel this agreement is equitable," can be very powerful. This type of language not only reinforces the idea that you care about fairness, but also sets a positive tone that can make the negotiation smoother. Moreover, when negotiating, it is helpful to consider the concept of a win-win approach. This approach seeks to create agreements where all parties involved gain significant benefits. Contrary to the notion of win-lose, where one party wins at the expense of the other, a win-win approach ensures that each party walks away feeling satisfied, reinforcing the perception of fairness and fostering long-term relationships. But it's important to be reasonable. Giving everyone the exact same thing isn't always fair. Instead, being fair means giving everyone what they need to be happy within the limits of what is possible and acceptable. Both sides may have to give in and change some things, but these changes should be made in a way that keeps things fair and shows respect for each other. In addition, it's important to be honest about your goals and the information you share. Hiding information or changing small details can make people think the other person isn't being fair, which can hurt the long-term relationship. Being honest is not only the right thing to do, but it's also useful because it keeps people from misinterpreting things and fighting again. Fairness isn't just a nice thing to have in negotiations. It's a must for any relationship to work and last. Focusing on fairness will help you reach a fair agreement, as well as open the door to new possibilities and build trust in your relationships. In your next negotiations, make sure that the principle of fairness guides your choices and actions so that every deal is not only good for both sides, but also deeply fair. Moving forward with the keys to successful negotiation, it is also crucial to address another fundamental principle: never leave without receiving something in return. This concept, far from promoting a selfish or calculating mindset, underscores the importance of balance and mutual value in any interaction. Let's delve into how this principle can be applied effectively to ensure that every transaction is beneficial for you and all parties involved. In the context of a negotiation, it is sometimes tempting to offer concessions or advantages without asking for anything in return, especially when trying to establish a good relationship or impress the other party. However, this approach can lead to an imbalance that, in the long term, could undermine both your position and the respect the other party has for you. The key is to ensure that for everything you offer, you receive something of comparable value in return. This not only maintains the fairness of the deal, but also reinforces the perception that both sides are equitably committed to the relationship. How can we ensure that we always receive something in return? Start by properly valuing what you offer. Know and communicate the value of your contributions and be aware of what you are willing to accept in return. By entering a negotiation with a clear understanding of your assets and needs, you will be better equipped to negotiate exchanges that reflect a true balance of value. For example, if you are offering an extension on payment terms, consider what you can request in return to compensate for that flexibility. It could be a higher purchase volume or perhaps more favorable delivery conditions. The important thing is that the final deal reflects an equitable exchange of concessions that benefits both parties. This rule also applies to the material and mental exchanges we talked about earlier. Every act of kindness, honesty, and offer to work together should be seen as one in a number of interactions that make the relationship stronger. Making sure that every action has a matching response is not only building an agreement, but also a relationship based on respect and commitment. Also, following the rule of never give without receiving helps keep people from feeling like they're being taken advantage of. This is especially important during long-term talks or relationships where keeping the balance is key to the partnership's success. In order to keep this balance, both sides must be willing to talk to each other honestly and openly, as well as be willing to adapt to the other person's changing needs and make sure that the exchange always goes both ways. It is important to remember that getting something in return does not always mean getting something useful right away. Sometimes what you get is an investment in the long-term connection. For example, you might build trust or learn more about the other person's needs and abilities. These things that can't be seen or touched can be very valuable, leading to new opportunities and making future talks easier, bigger, and more complicated. Remember that the goal of this principle is not to win in every interaction, but to ensure that each party feels valued and committed to the relationship. By balancing what you give and what you receive, you are laying the groundwork for fruitful and lasting cooperation based on mutual respect and shared benefit. As you move forward in your next negotiation encounter, carry with you the principle of never giving without receiving. This approach will help you build more robust and equitable agreements and position you as an ethical and effective negotiator. By maintaining this balance, you not only ensure success in your current dealings, but also lay the foundation for future successful negotiations. Before concluding our episode today, I want to remind you why the principles we have explored are so fundamental to negotiating or discussing successfully. Each aspect we have analyzed, from emotional and material reciprocity to the use of the Socratic Method, are not just isolated techniques. They are parts of a comprehensive approach to achieving success in your negotiations. This success, of course, is not measured only by the immediate outcome of a deal, but by the quality and durability of the relationships you build in the process. By following these rules, you'll not only be able to close a good deal, but you'll also be building a relationship based on mutual respect and teamwork that can lead to future chances and long-term benefits. Negotiation is an art that gets better with practice and thought. Every exchange is a chance to use what you've learned and change how you act based on the people you're talking to and the situation. Always keep an open mind and think about both your needs and the needs of the other person. This way, you can make sure that every deal is based on a real understanding and mutual satisfaction. Each of the ideas we've talked about today has the power to change the way you negotiate and, by extension, your personal and business relationships. You can become a better negotiator and help build a culture of respect and cooperation by focusing on reciprocity, asking smart questions to get to the bottom of things, and always trying to be fair. I hope that what we talked about today has given you ideas and tools that will help you in future talks. Don't forget that consistent practice and commitment to these principles are key to your development and success. We invite you to leave a comment with your negotiation experiences or any questions you may have about what we discussed today. Your feedback is invaluable to us and helps us improve and bring content that truly resonates and is useful for you. And of course, if you found this episode helpful, consider subscribing to our channel. Don't miss the upcoming episodes, where we will continue exploring more essential strategies and skills for your personal and professional growth. Until next time. And remember, in the world of negotiation, your approach and your ability to understand and respect others are just as important as any number on a contract.